Her name is Diana Maria Olsson. She's an award-winning filmmaker and dedicated journalist. Her recent documentary, First Class Citizen, about power and control is currently touring film festival internationally. First of all, Diana ma'am, thank you so much for joining the session. And also congratulations, you have recently won an award for the First Class documentary. I saw your post actually of Instagram. Yeah.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for this very nice introduction.
Yes.
And yeah, it's an honor to speak here. And I don't know, what shall I start? Shall I tell a little bit about my movie now or about the...
The stage is all yours. You can tell about anything if you want.
No, like I think what is important, like my movie now recently it was another movie based on Indian story.
Oh, wow.
It was in Norway, it was a fiction. You could remind me because maybe I'm not correct with surname. Mrs. Mishiteri, how does it?
Rani Mukherjee. Mrs.
We
Rani.
say Norway, yes, exactly. Where's Norway? Do you remember this movie we were talking about?
You're
Which
talking
was...
about Mrs. Chatterjee in Norway, I guess, right?
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Sorry
Yeah.
for my
So, guys, I just
pronunciation.
want to tell you that she was talking about the film which was released in Bollywood called Mrs. Chatterjee and Mrs. Chatterjee and Norway. It's the lead actress is Mrs. Rani Mukherjee. So, Diana ma'am had made a similar film like this. So, please tell us about that.
Yes, so my film is not a fiction, but it's a documentary. And so, for example, it's very sad that, for example, in countries like Scandinavia, what happened, like, for example, in this movie with this Indian story, when it was taken away child from Indian family, and I collected stories from the mothers who were removed from their children in Sweden, because I was myself living in Sweden. And, maybe for people who live in other countries, it's hard to believe that these things can happen in a countries like Norway or Sweden in
Yeah.
Scandinavia. So, and for me, it was like essential to talk about that, because I think like mother and a child, it's extremely important, and they should not, it's like sacred thing, and it should not be separated. So it's extremely important and meaningful film, and it also speaks a lot about values. What does it mean like to be a mother? What does it mean like for the child, like about motherhood, like to bring respect to the motherhood in the Scandinavian countries?
Yeah, great. So, Diana, as you have seen that there are a lot of documentaries participation here, and I guess I've sent you some documentaries to choose some of the winners. As you see that there are a lot of documentaries made in Bollywood, Hollywood, and other countries
Yeah.
also. So, do you wanted to give us a tip and trick, like how to choose a theme and how to gain a track in a documentary? Because if you are a fresher as a documentary artist, as a documentary maker, so what is the first step you should do?
Yeah, of course, all these things, like I'm very aesthetical person. I look to like shooting and even color grading and all
Yeah.
these things. But I think the most important for me is to reach the heart. If it touch your heart, then I think that movie is good. It's successful. When you forget about all the color gradings, about shooting, about everything, and then it goes straight to your heart, then the movie is successful.
That's a great thing, actually. And so let's see, there are a lot of filmmakers in India who are actually a documentary makers. So, what happened is we have a lot of topics here in India.
Yeah.
If we talk about from our participants, so if we talk about Raj is here. Raj made a documentary, the lead actor was a child. And there is a documentary of Pan. I don't know what you say Pan in English. I really don't know. It's basically a sweet leaf. We can say that.
Mm-hmm.
So we eat that in India, and it's actually actually very sweet dish after dinner. If you see, so so there are a lot of documentaries made here. So do you wanted to give a particular a theme that if you wanted to make a documentary, so you have to take care of these things while making a documentary.
I think it's important also like to make a lot of research before you make a movie, like who made like about these topics before, and what it's done already, and what can you make new, or do you have a real like new angle, or so I think research is extremely important before you start a movie.
All
even.
right. And so, ma'am, let's just talk about your topic, which you've taken, that the significance of inclusivity and variety in documentaries, exploring the rights of mothers and children in a documentary format. Can you please tell us about that? Because a lot of filmmakers was very curious about this topic.
No, like I think it's maybe in a country like India, for example, it's obvious that mother, she has the right to raise her child. I think you have these basic values, for example, but for example, in Scandinavia, government has higher status than a human. Maybe in some way, whereas also like in India and other countries, like every country has different issues. But for example, I think it's extremely unhumanistic when the government is allowed to take a child away from a mother who experienced domestic violence. So in my topic, it's also like the subject of domestic violence, because I made stories about these mothers who experienced domestic violence, but instead of getting help, they were removed from their children. And for example, this is not a one story, it's like a lot of stories like this in Sweden, and these women are even not allowed to talk about it because you are not allowed to criticize Sweden. And Sweden spent a lot of energy, like they have 5 institutions in order to create a good image abroad internationally. And for these women, for foreign-born women, it's extremely hard to protect themselves. What we saw also, like in this Indian movie about this Indian mother story, that for example, you can take your child, like you did nothing wrong for your child, you are like a good mother, and they can take a child from you. So I think this is important, so extremely important subject to talk and about this inclusivity, what you said. So I think it's also one important issue to name it, that these mothers are foreign born. They are not Swedish or Norwegian. So usually it can happen for foreign born, like for other countries, like from India or from, I don't know, Europe, somewhere, another country. And yes, and these women are more fragile because they are not citizens of this country. They don't know the system, and it's easier to take children from them. So it's like a horror movie. It's like really dystopian movie, and but I think it's very painful movie. But we need to talk about it.
Yeah. So, ma'am, that's a very instructive thing you have said. So, have you ever visited India?
Yes, I was once for 1 month.
Where?
I was in Rishikesh. I
Oh, wow, that's great.
I was studying yoga
Okay.
close to Himalaya. Yeah, it was very, very beautiful in Rishikesh. Amazing, amazing. Yeah.
I was there last month actually.
Sorry?
I was there last month actually. I went there I went there to visit a Tungna temple, but due to heavy rainfall, I just came back to Delhi. So I
I
visited
think
this place, yes.
yeah, it was so beautiful nature, very kind people, and like it was very good. So many colors and smells, and like very
Have you
delicious food.
attended that Ganga Aarti? It's very famous in Rishikesh.
Ganga what?
Ganga Aarti. We
Ganga.
actually pray in front of the Ganga River. All the pandits stand and they pray to the Ganga. Yeah.
Yes, I saw this like ceremony by Ganga.
Yes.
I don't know if
Yes.
you mean
Yes.
this.
That
Yeah.
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 That's actually the symbol of Rishikesh. We can say that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was very nice. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. So, ma'am, there were a lot of questions while you were speaking, and so, with the permission, can I ask those questions? If you say,
Yeah.
yeah, the people who filmmakers who make documentaries, they have some questions from all around the world, so they wanted to ask. So, yes. So, to the participant and the audience who wanted to ask the question, you can write in the chat box while I'm asking her the question, which were already I have. So, ma'am, there's a guy, Isaac, from Sweden also. He wanted to ask, how does including a diverse range of voices and perspective enhance the authenticity in the depth of documentary?
Oh, very complicated question.
Yeah.
I think you could ask a little bit easier. No, I collected stories like during maybe 4 years now. It's extended. I collected stories from foreign-born mothers. So, I did a lot of research. I spoke with professionals in this field, and So, and I myself, I'm educated journalist. I have 4 university degrees. So I had this critical thinking. So I was very selective with stories and with the experts who are talking in my movie. So I think we went quite to depth, because like when my movie was screened in Paris, it came some scientists from Sorbonne from Sorbonne University, and they said like, I was doing research 15 years on this topic, and you just made a movie in 15 minutes. So I hope that I did. We went quite to depth. If I answered the question.
Yes. Yeah, he texted me, I guess. He said
Uh,
he's satisfied. He said just satisfied. Yeah.
okay,
So,
very good. Thank you. Thank
so
you.
the next question is, in what ways can a documentary benefit from showcasing individuals from different culture, background, or marginalized communities?
I think so. I think so, because like these women who are talking, they are from different countries.
Hmm.
One woman is from French-speaking country, another is from Ukraine, another is from Finland. So by hearing their stories, we can also like a little bit get sense of their culture from different countries.
All right. So the next question is, how does inclusivity in documentaries contribute to a more accurate representation of the subject matter or issue being explored?
Oh, again about inclusivity. Yeah. So yes, I think it's good that I took like women from different countries,
Hmm.
because when you can see, like that it can happen, like, as I already told you, we can sense also like these different backgrounds, and also this that they are from different countries. It shows that it can happen to anyone. It doesn't matter their culture, background, or country, or citizenship. Like this problem is kind of universal. For example, domestic violence, it happens in any country, like everywhere. And it's so big, in fact. And the problem is that it's not, people are not talking about that. And I think these women who are talking in my movie, they are extremely brave, extremely courageous, that they started to speak about these things. And this is not only about domestic violence, it's also about institutional violence, institutional racism. So that they are from different countries, it also like shows this institutional racism in Sweden.
Yes, ma'am. Totally correct. So I hope this cleared your question. So Justin has asked in the chat box that, is it compulsory for a documentary film to be educational, or is it just about documenting a real life incident, individual, or place? Even in the intent of the film, isn't it educational?
Oh, yeah, it's a good question. Thank you. It's my purpose, my goal was to make it a little bit educational, like to create awareness that it would not happen to other women, what happens to these, like, because in my movie, women are victims. They experience like this domestic violence and then institutional violence. So my goal was to create awareness in society, because I think if you identify the problem, then you can solve it.
So, ma'am, the last question of this session is, like, there are a lot of multiple questions are coming by one, so I'm gonna like pick one. How do you think the presence of diverse voices in documentaries can lead to a more inclusive and equitable media landscape overall? Another inclusive.
Thank you. Good question again. So, yes, so I believe like if these women who are like foreign born, and that I picked them, not like, I don't know, Swedish citizens or something, but I found these women and they had courage to speak up. So for example, these women from different countries can identify the problem with their stories. And as I said, when they identify this problem, we can solve it, because like usually like, so we can, I don't know how to say, we need to lift that we are foreign born, that we are not like, for example, Swedish citizens. And so I think it's, of course, like this movie, it's not a happy movie. It's a documentary about, sorry, very painful issues. So I know the question was a little bit like inclusivity. So I think it's important like to raise that where is this problem, to raise awareness. And so these women who are foreign born, that they would be included in the society, that they would have a right to raise their children. That, for example, Swedish citizens are not better mothers than these foreign-born mothers, like Indian or like from Finland or whatever. Like, yeah. So everyone is equal despite nationality. So yeah. So it's good that I had in my movie a woman
Yes.
from different countries.
Yeah, ma'am. So I just wanted to give a very great compliment that the way you think about the women and the way you make a documentary, it's totally clear that she wanted to tell about this topic and this is it. That's it. So it's a very great thing actually, because I have seen and I have made this also. I've made this mistake that whenever I'm making a documentary and other filmmakers making a documentary, they sometimes lag in the story which they're talking about, and they talk about something else in a documentary. If I say, like, I'm not saying all the documentary filmmakers, but the people who are kind of fresher and who are like budding filmmakers, right? So like there's some people who lag into the story, like I do too. So like it's a very inspirational talk, like you were saying about the women, like you are in your topic actually. You're not lagging anywhere. Just want to say that. Yes.
No, for example, for this movie, I did research for quite many years in order to
Yes.
make, well,
Like, yeah, that's the first thing you have to research
yeah.
in a very large scale if you are making a documentary, because a documentary is like a real life story, we can say, right?
Yeah.
So you have to research for your, like, in a big scale. So ma'am, for your with your permission, can I please question you a very last question, please? Can I ask you from
Yeah.
a participant? Yes. So the last question is, what potential challenges might arise while striving for inclusivity and variety in documentary filmmaking? How can they be addressed?
Foreign-born mothers treated as second-class citizens in Sweden. So that's a challenge, that we are not equal to the Swedish citizens. And women who come from other countries like India or another country like in Europe, it doesn't matter, they should know, these women, that they would be treated as second-class citizens, that they will not have equal rights. They will not be treated equal. I know we have this dream picture about Scandinavian countries like Norway or Sweden, but if you are a mother and you have a child, like, you should think before you come.
Yes, ma'am. So, like, these are all the questions we have picked out, and like the way you have said it, it was totally straightforwarded. That all the audiences and the participants who have asked this question were understood very smoothly. So it was very great discussion with you actually. And I wanted to ask you a personal question, like if I'm making a documentary, for example. All right. So like there are a lot of challenges while doing a research in a particular topic, if I say. So like, what do you think, if there are any challenges comes, like if let's take a topic of LGBTQ, right? It's a very sensitive topic in India, I say, but nowadays it's going a very broad, and we are very opening to
Yeah.
this topic. Okay, so like there are a lot of people who wanted to know about this. What is LGBTQ? What is this actually, right? And if people wanted to make this documentary, so like, do you wanted to give any tips and tricks in this? Like, what wanted to give any suggestion? How do you research in this?
Yeah, no, you just find experts, people who already knows about that, and when you just talk with experts, and when you reach out to experts, they can guide you. For example, in my case, when I was making documentary, I found experts who wrote books about my topic. Yeah. So, and when you reach out for these like other scientists who wrote books, who made research, and when you talk to them, and then they can also lead you to another, like, to go deeper, they can guide you. So I think it's very important in your subject to find a guide like this expert, but top expert who knows the best. And
Yes.
before you choose the best expert, you need to research, like you have a list, maybe 5 of top experts, and then you see which one is the right one, or maybe you contact all the 5s and then you compare, and then you make your own conclusion. And I think it's also important not to take everything like as an absolute true, but to be critical.
Yes, ma'am. We like I'm noting it all down. So to to take this in my next documentary for sure. So ma'am, this is we don't have yeah. She resembles Rachel Green from the iconic. So ma'am, there is another compliment for you from Justin. He's saying that she resembles Rachel Green from the iconic TV show Friends.
Thank you.
I would like to say thank you so much for joining this session as a speaker, and the way you have answered all the question with this such great gestures and the straightforward answer you have gave. A lot of the audiences who have asked this question were totally satisfied with the answers. So, ma'am, thank you so much for this. And I wanted to give you all the love from India and ALP Productions. And I invite you to India also. Whenever you come to Rishikesh, please call me.
Thank you.
I'll be giving you all the guidance. I'll be a guide that day.
Thank you so much. It was great honor to be here to participate, and wish you good luck with the festival.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for this.
You are doing something good. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Namaste. Thank you so much. Love from India, ma'am.
Namaste.
Thank you, ma'am.
Namaste.
Namaste.
Bye.
Bye-bye, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you.